Oh, here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's weekend frivolity, our broiler chicken show. Hey, looks like we're live on YouTube, so that's encouraging. Whoops, I think I just screwed that up. Let's see if we can try that again. Hey, there we are. All right, so nice to see we got a few people around the site, and I kind of like to do this on the weekend, just a little bit more informal. Oh, what the hell is this? DLYRWE on Xterra. David Davis puts up some crazy ass charts there, eh? Wow, look at that one. Anyway, he just posted this chart in the lounge. Looks like it's a little late for a trade for us, but nonetheless. Nice to see everybody on the site. We've got sort of the regular crew on board here. As I said, this is a weekend. I suppose one good thing is, Bitcoin's a bit calmer here, so it's not like we're freaking out about levels and shit happening. And it's actually kind of amusing, I find, that I think sort of the latest talk du jour is how Bitcoin's turning into a stable coin. So I've always made the argument that there's the only way that Bitcoin and crypto could actually be mass adopted and become sort of a usable, stable currency for people is if we remove the volatility from price. So in a weird sort of way, that actually is it's not such a terrible thing. I don't know whether we're out of the woods yet on this correction that we've been going through. I think it should make, and it's not a bad idea. We, pull up this weekly chart to sort of get an idea of where we've come from and where we are in the big picture. And, these good old reload zones really shouldn't have surprised anyone at TRI to see how the market's basically just worked its way back down into these green boxes and kind of just parked itself. I mean, that's what happens. The issue here ultimately, and the good part about it is a lot of you guys here are here because you are interested in crypto. And you're not just here to make a quick buck. I mean, obviously, you guys want to make a profit at this and you'd like to see your money grow. So, most of you guys, and especially, what we sort of found at the very sort of blow off top of the market there, I guess, but just about this time last year is when the market went a little nuts there. We're still in the process of cleaning all that up. And, once we base, we can go back to, watching, assets grow substantially. I think while we're still in this window, we just have to be patient and we have to just wait for the weekly W's to start forming. And on this chart, I think it should be pretty obvious. Yes, we're trying to weekly W, but we haven't quite yet. And we're still sort of in that process of, am I a bull? Am I a bear? I don't know. It is encouraging, and we've been talking to you guys this now. This is basically for about 6 months that this $6,000 level seems to be some sort of floor on the Bitcoin price, which is encouraging. So it's good. As Thomas has been sort of telling you on the daily briefs and stuff, and hopefully the message is the same from all of us. If we actually change this back to a line chart, we actually see that a new M just came in here. That was a nasty, nasty fail there a few weeks ago. So we're still sort of in that, okay, well, am I a bull? Do I really want to find a bottom here? Am I reversing? And until we actually see the weekly W's print, I suppose it was good that we saw this one print here. At best, we can say we're sideways. And what I also noticed too, and I find this very interesting, is that the broader market is now starting to look a little bit heavy. And interestingly enough, Tom Lee's been sort of talking to the investing world about alpha and sort of trying to find assets that are not correlated. Portfolio managers love that because in essence, nice diversified basket of assets, you actually reduce risk by owning a little bit of everything. And I think this is a really good illustration, right? Broader markets looking heavy. We actually have M's now working on S&P 500s and stuff like that. You can see, the U.S. dollar itself has had a hell of a run here, but looking a little emmy. Japanese stocks, and actually interesting because today is Sunday. Probably, if you're going to be watching for sort of a tell, we should probably watch how the Asian market opens up overnight. And I did notice just briefly, and it's interesting. I saw some sort of news and stuff going across Twitter about how the Chinese are actually lowering interest rates there. They have a severe economic slowdown on their hands right now. So let's see how that plays out. And of course, that's the whole sort of thesis of why trade wars are bad. Is if the actual slowdown in Shanghai and China, you can see it in the Japanese stocks, definitely. I'm a little surprised at the strength in China itself, but the whole sort of global story. And you can see this Chinese market is quite weak, eh? We're at a really important pivot level here on the weekly charts on China. And my hunch is if we lose these lows, then that means that the whole Chinese experiment is in trouble. And of course, the worst part about China is that technically it's still, it never changed being a dictatorship. But you could really make the argument it's like a totalitarian dictatorship right now. Maybe even, borderline fascist. So, if we do get this sort of technical fail level off of the Chinese indexes right in here, that's going to start painting these sort of AB equals CDs. And, I could very easily see them run after these, like 2008 lows. So let's keep an eye on how China's acting, coming out of this dead cat bounce that we're enjoying right now. As I said, the Chinese officials locally are trying to raise rates. Lower rates to try and help their market. But, if the inertia from, Japan and United States and, probably Europe to a certain degree, if this really gets going, right, I don't see how China can avoid this. But we'll see what happens. Only time will tell. But if anything, like U.S. dollar uppy but looking emmy, here is the U.S. dollar versus the yen and versus the yuan, renminbi, whatever. And then here's Bitcoin. So you can see that they're not highly correlated, which is great. And sort of that talk about Tom Lee and stuff like that. You might actually just find that if equity markets just simply can't catch a bid and fixed income markets can't catch a bid, and then you actually start getting a run on the U.S. dollar, we might actually see Bitcoin catch a bid here. So let's keep an eye open for that. Swing traders, I think actually the past week has been kind of muted. I just haven't seen anything set up. I remember heading into the week, and James and I were even chatting about this, how yes, Willie was stupid, and we had a nice trade location on crude, but we just didn't have any signs of divergence, so there wasn't anything to work with. And sure enough, they pulled one more FU move and broke that top, and that created the divergence, and then they just came screaming down here like a rocket. So didn't really get anything set up on the crude, but if there was one market that I was watching over the past week for the swing traders, Zach, this is sort of your neck of the woods. That was a market I was interested in. Didn't really see anything set up on gold. The euro currencies, you can see that, yes, technically stupid. We've been talking about U.S. dollar there. You saw how those charts are starting to look a little toppy. There's the yen. You can see that there was a stupid condition, and now we actually have a divergence confirmed on both of these, euro and Japanese yen. So if anything, I'm probably looking for maybe the U.S. dollar to be a little bit softer to begin the week, maybe. The higher time frame charts, and actually this is kind of cool. We drew on this head and shoulders idea quite a while ago, probably like months ago. And fascinating how we never did hit this AB equals CD, maybe because this neckline was just so strong. But fascinating how we basically came right up to this trend line, and maybe the ultimate right shoulder is now going to look like that. Totally possible. So I think that's kind of interesting how we originally drew that, and basically the market's rallied up into that resistance level and starting to show signs of failure. So, and if we look at this chart, everybody should see the exact opposite. Zach, do you see that swing trade developing? Can you see the fractal that's trying to form up here on the daily charts? And then if we go down to say like what is that? Our swing is the 4 hour. So if we go down to the 4 hour, there it is. Isn't that cool? That's fucking awesome, man. So, you just do your little 50% rule. What does the trade actually look like? There should be our target. And gee whiz, there's a 200-period moving average just sort of sitting there. Do we have a overbought or oversold market? Yeah, clearly we have a really stupidly overbought condition. And finally, do we have any divergence? And we got a big old fat divergence that's trying to confirm right up in here, right? So, we're sort of seeing those swing trades set up on the yen and the euro. And it's always a good idea. Like, you don't really necessarily, well, that's assuming this top, but I wouldn't assume that. So the divergence confirms here, but but let's just be patient. So, our ultimate target is there. And we're going to be trying to risk against these highs. So where is a 2-to-1 trade level? So right there, that's 1.7. So it's not going to be there. Right. And you just got to sort of play with the tool. There's 2.25. So it looks to me like the trade level is somewhere right in this area here. Right? There's 2-to-1, right? Something like that. So yeah, maybe the trade isn't there, but if this M fires, you know how much Brian loves his candle body levels. Look how that level there is setting up very interestingly, right? And then you could take your little reload zone tool and draw it back up top. And I don't know where the bottom is, right? Maybe Sunday night, Monday morning, they crank it down here, and maybe like that's the low. But you're just going to put on your little reload zone tool. And of course, TradingView makes this a million miles wide. I'm not quite sure why. Anyway, and you can see candle body levels, reload zone. You can almost see the trade setting itself up as we speak here. And maybe what it does is it sets up like, and Zach probably already knows the answer to this. So let's ask somebody who maybe doesn't know the answer. But if we were, going to be hunting Forex trade setups, is there any particular day of the week that there's a pretty high probability that a setup's going to form somewhere through maybe, and I think Josh is here. All right, so there's Joshua. That's Joshua. I was actually talking about UK Josh, my microphone Josh. But anyway, he's in London, so that's why I made reference to that. But, I could very easily see something like maybe, something along these lines, right? And you just hunt the setup. The bottom line is the market is setting the trade up. I can see the trade setting itself up. Now, does it work? I don't know. Only time will tell. And keep in mind, we're not going to be trading the US dollar index. We're going to be trading the pairs off of it. So what that means is we got to go find, pull up your Euro 4-hour chart. Are there any setups that are setting up off of here? And this would be the exact opposite, right? If we're bear, then this was a description of the El Tangonator short coming off the top. I'll put all this stuff away. If you wanted to play that sort of long trade, right? We go boobity boo. Not the best looking div here. My hunch is I bet you there's probably better currency pairs that we could see. But actually, this is a nice double divergence, so that's not so bad. You got there to there, and you got there to there. And that plays off of there to there. And there to there. Brian, You all know how this expression finishes. So, in this particular case, probably the conservative trade is to just shoot for a 50% retracement up top here. That's a nice simple target up against these highs. So does any sort of 2-to-1 set up for an objective up here? And as I said just a moment ago, probably the trade, Brian loves his candle body lows. My hunch is, I would be like laser beam focused. There might even be one more fuck you here. It's tough to say. But if you got any sort of candles body, any like candle setups, fractals, empires, whatever, off of this level here, these candle body lows, that sort of corresponds with the candle body highs off of that US dollar index chart. My hunch is the trade's probably going to set up off of that level there. So something like that, and then there, and that's a 3.5-to-1. So you can actually even be a little bit generous here. Something like that. There's a 2.5-to-1. So, you can see the W. I mean, it's technically already in there. Just I would, like Tuesday, Wednesday, laser beam focus. Do you get any sort of like W price action? Do you get anything like nice candle body, inside bar? Brian, he loves his inside bars. We got like a nice little inside bar that's set up like something like that, which gave you the buy signal right through there. Whatever. Long and short of it here is, I think you can see the trade trying to set itself up. And this is just one market, right? If you are interested in these currencies, I would go through them all. I'd say look at the euro, the Swiss franc, the British pound, the Australian dollar, the Canadian dollar, the Kiwi. Remember we used to talk about trading the Kiwi? The Kiwi is so much fun. I mean, look how volatile this thing is. So you can see that tried to set up bull div. Nothing came in. New bear div. Actually, I don't think that's a bear div. Just, confluence. Nice and stupid. And that's the one thing I absolutely love about the Kiwi is that this thing is just it's a trading gem. So you can see a new bull div is trying to come in here. My hunch is, probably through all that sort of Sunday, Monday event kind of idea, Tuesday, they set up the divergence, set up the bottom. And here I think you probably, and I don't know if this is the bottom, it may be, it may not. In fact, probably level 3ers, you should be feverishly reading your harmonics manual right now and understanding PRZs. So, Zach, do you see how this is technically an AB equals CD and a PRZ, a potential reversal zone right in here? And the interesting thing, and this is for Jacob, you have to understand that sometimes AB equals CDs can go further beyond extension levels. And so we want to keep like 127 in mind. Ooh, interesting. And 1618. We can definitely see it down into there. And they call those alt harmonics. So, and, I don't necessarily expect all you new harmonics people to be like totally, hey, I'm the shit with harmonics. Right now, you're just still learning. So just go slowly and just watch. But I'm trying to find the page here. And I never know where it is on the new site. So I'm just going to grab it off of here, the old site. Boom. So sometimes these AB equals CDs can actually have further legs. So I don't know whether you guys can see this, but, I know Jacob was getting really stressed out about this last week. But you have to understand, sometimes these alt ABCDs can actually go to 127s and 1618s of the AB range. So I know this was kind of frying his brain. So Jacob, I'm just going to throw that in the lounge for you if you need it later on. But, pretty good example. Look on the cheat sheet kind of idea. I could very easily see on this that the ultimate PRZ is either that 127, which we're at right now, or even as deep as that 1.618, right? So I'm kind of liking the idea, especially considering we're looking at the yen and it's looking a little heavy too. I'm kind of liking the idea of hunting these swings, but I just don't see anything set up. And through last week, I didn't see anything at all set up. Like I said, we had sort of the potential for this crude trade, but nothing really developed. And if anything, what I'm thinking now is we have, how do you say this? Potential, I guess, setups coming in on the currencies right now, but there's nothing here just yet. So anyway, you guys all know my swing matrix. I report on this on a fairly regular basis. So, if I see anything come up on the swing matrix, I will definitely let all you guys know. Not really following anything day trader wise. I did set this up for Jacob because he wants to practice the day trading through the London kill zone. And I would recommend that you set something like this up. Pick a window. In fact, actually, we had another gentleman ask this. He's like, Brian, like how many trades should I be trading? How many days how many hours a day should I be watching this? And I was like, most of the really good trades set up through these things called the kill zones. Yeah. So, and this is the interesting thing. Zach even says in the lounge, if you want to play the day trader world, well, you have to be extremely focused through your sort of particular window. And if the trade setup comes in and, quite often with day trades, you're buying against lows, selling against highs, you're playing like candle patterns. It's extremely high stress, right? It's extremely anxiety ridden. You are stepping into the fray through your kill zone. And you have to act, and you don't know what the outcome is, right? In fact, I used to tell you, Hogue used to always say to us, we can make unlimited amounts of money, but you have to understand professional day traders, right? They are paid to worry. That means you got to go in there and buy like PRZs. You got to go in there and buy against the lows. You got to go in there and buy those candle body level tags, and you got to live with the results. It's not just as pretty and polite as swing traders. If anything, the swing traders I find, and Zach sort of points this out, is you can slowly hunt them, let the setups develop, because it's a 4-hour chart. You're not going to be like freaking out on every tick move, and you can actually live a life. So some people, it's kind of fun living a life at the same time as being a professional day trader. Like Thomas has told you plenty of times, he's like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, I'm sitting there watching my damn screen because I'm day trading. So please understand the difference between the two lives. They're very, very different. And I'm very pleased that Zach has taken the opportunity to wrap his mind around the swing trading. And he'll be sort of a really good representative on the site on sort of how the mental framework of a swing trader's life sort of works. And I think he'll be a really, really good role model for all of you guys. So I can't wait to bring Zach into the fold. He's just got to finish up his level 3, and I'll be more than happy to endorse Zach working with all of you because I think he's a stand-up guy. Okay, so that's sort of broader market. Maybe a little update on what I'm doing in the market. I've got my insurance policy on the stock market. Actually looking at the way the US dollar looks a little toppy there, and some of these risk on proxies like the euro and stuff are looking a little bit like they could rally a little bit. I really wouldn't be surprised if we actually see a bit of a snapback in the stock market. We look at the VIX, another big monster gap left. That literally means that they could bring the market down and play in this hole here. This is basic, the drive Thomas crazy, but you can see when the VIX gets down into this area, that's when you want to be thinking stock market top. So, we did have a big pop here. Sometimes Monday mornings, you actually do see a bit of follow through. So I wouldn't even be surprised. Keep your eyes open, everybody. Tomorrow is technically a holiday here in Canada. And I don't know whether it's a government holiday in the States. I think it used to be called Columbus Day in the States. I don't know whether they're allowed to call it that anymore, though, in this politically correct world we live in. But it's still Columbus Day. Okay. Thanks, man. Indigenous Peoples Day. There you go, Joshua. I'm not going to touch any of that shit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not touching that. No comment. Brian knows nothing. I know nothing. I have no opinion. Anybody know who that reference is? You get a pat on the back. As Zach says, and we were joking before we started recording here today, and I had such a privilege this weekend. A couple of the younger guys who are on the site, full of testosterone, just like I'm a man, right? So they were like, yeah, come on over, Brian. We're having a barbecue. We're gonna watch the fights, and we're gonna do our man thing, right, and all that kind of stuff. But anyway. So I went over to one of our students' place over the weekend. And by the way, he's a fantastic cook. So not only is he's a man's man, but he's also a fucking awesome chef. So there you go. But anyway, I had the special privilege of watching this I don't know, what do you call it? UFC, FFC, UAC, something like that. Anyway, just completely. No holds barred, like real fighting. Oh my goodness, the blood flying everywhere was ridiculous. But anyway, so we had one gentleman, and what I found hilarious is it seems like half of North America watched the fight too, because this guy's like instantly become like famous, and we should probably give him a plug. This is like an in-house video, so I'm not doing this on YouTube or anything. But we watched. I was at the boys' place, and we watched this fight, and it was just stunning. Do yourself a favor and like Google. The boys are showing me on Reddit and stuff. You can get the video playback of this stuff. This is absolutely. This is like almost like the perfect Rocky sort of scenario, right? Like if you ever watch Rocky movies. Rocky's always getting his ass kicked into the 8th or 9th or 10th round or whatever, and he's on his knees, and his sight's blurry, and he can't see, and everybody's figured the other guy's won, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Rocky comes out with the haymaker and knocks the guy out. And that's exactly what this guy did, and what was so beautiful about this guy is he's such a real human being, and he was just like... After the fight, he took his pants off, right, in the ring, and the guys were like, well, why'd you take your pants off? And he goes, well, because my balls were hot. And I have a feeling it's actually going to become like an internet meme, right? I think even people were even... I thought I saw it. Like the hashtag "my balls were hot." That's actually going to be coming. I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes like a trending thing or whatever, right? Yeah, my balls was hot. I wouldn't be surprised if this actually becomes like an internet meme. So great. So do yourself a favor and watch this interview. It was just priceless. So if you are on the site and you happen to see people making the reference "my balls are hot," you'll know what this is in reference to. And if anything, and I thought it was hilarious, is that it just reinforces our whole premise of why pants are optional. Sometimes your balls just get hot. It's just the way life is. Anyway, back to the market. So yeah, I don't know whether you had the chance to watch it or not, guys, but if you do, it was really funny. And it was, I mean, damn intense. Holy jeez. And the funny thing is the main ticket, that wasn't even the main ticket. I thought that was the most entertaining out of the whole night. The main ticket just turned into an absolute, oh my goodness, just crazy. Probably gonna be riots and shit, right? So go figure. Okay, let's maybe get back to a little bit of chart talk. People are like, what the hell is he going on about? As I said, stock market took a real punch in the nose here past week. In fact, we even had like short setups on things like the S&P 500 actually come in. Really good example here. We're at like 113 harmonic extensions. We never did get up to 127, but there are guys that hunt 113 as a extension level. So again, all you level 3ers and of course alumni, you all know this, right? But level threeers right now currently studying up on harmonics, understand why this 113 level is key. And if I'm not mistaken, we could probably just show you this quick. But again, I don't know where it is on the new site, so I'll just show you on the old site. 113 sometimes come into play with things like the shark pattern and the alt bat. You can see 113's key level there. So, you know, it is what it is. You can clearly see the M. You can see the 113 extension level. It's one of the reasons why I have it on this sort of cheat sheet. In fact, like I think it's even a question on the final exam. Hint, 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 all you level oneers. And then if we do things like AB equals CDs, there were sort of lots of anecdotal reasons looking for the market to pop up top here. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was on the Dow. I thought this was really cool. You don't see this there very often, but when it does happen, it's a pretty powerful message. I just have to find it first. Yeah, here. So here again, there is that sort of 113 off of the Dow, which is up in that area. Remember I was saying just a moment ago we had some harmonic levels setting up on the S&P. Well, you can see two AB equals CDs that sort of painted this as a potential reversal window. And I was kind of musing that maybe on I guess it was Thursday that this might have turned into an empire. We had this really, really big tail here. So technically not a textbook empire pattern. And of course, monster gap. So this is really messy anyway. But I will say that this should technically be a fractal. That is a failure level right there. And you can see off of the fractal top there, we worked our way lower for a few days and then turned around and ramped up. So we might, you know, sort of swim around here. Again, they left a pretty big tail on Friday, so they can actually open the market up a little bit weaker Monday morning. But just like the NASDAQ, there's that cheeky little gap right up top there. So I definitely think we're coming back. It's just a question of how long. As well, too, if I understand correctly, they kind of very cheekily pressed this Supreme Court nomination through the Senate on Friday. So I don't know what the social ramifications are. If anything, you know, Graham's down in the States. I don't know. There's a couple other people here in the States. You should probably just keep an eye on sort of how the local media and the talk shows, you know, especially Sunday, Meet the Press, all that kind of stuff, how they're spinning that. If this turns into an absolute, you know, social disaster, that might sort of temper Wall Street's enthusiasm, and people might, you know, not be so rah-rah capitalism. You never know how the hell these damn things are going to turn out. Maybe it just blows off and nothing comes of it. But me personally, I was a little bit shocked at how this was sort of rammed through at the last moment. And I would imagine, just from what I've seen on Twitter, there's a bit of social backlash. So we should probably see how that plays out. That might even be one of the reasons why the market is taking a bit of a pause here. So having said that, you know, like we talked about sort of, you know, candle body, you know, gaps here. There's the fractal. Interesting. Like, remember we showed you on the US dollar. What a coincidence. If we actually draw something like a head and shoulders pattern here, you can actually see a counter trend rally off of this neckline level. Really wouldn't be too out of the question. Something like that. That wouldn't surprise me one bit whatsoever. So let's watch how the market opens up here overnight. Let's watch how you know, the Asian markets are opening overnight. And the interesting thing is as the stock market was sort of topping out and breaking, our buddy here, remember I told you about correlation just a moment ago, our buddy Bitcoin actually caught a bit of a bid. Where was that one? Is that over here? Where I did all the correlation? Yeah, here we are. So, you know, as the stock markets, and where's the stock market? Here we are. As the stock markets were breaking here, right, you can actually see Bitcoin caught a bit of a bid here. So in an interesting sort of way, I was sort of speaking about this earlier. I think Tom Lee actually is getting sort of his part of his wish that Bitcoin's being accepted as a way to diversify risk, smooth out alpha in portfolios, and it might actually be an alternative. And so what we might find is that if the stock market is still heavy, Bitcoin actually has a bit of a bid behind it. We'll see how that goes. Only time will tell. Okay, so enough of the stock market. Blah, 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 blah. Probably, actually, you know what? Before we leave, should probably just make a quick mention about Bitcoin-related stocks. As you can see on this DPW, and I had reported this late last week, my low of this range was broken on Thursday. So I just walked away, just booked a loss, done. And I see on Friday, it didn't finish very positively. So still pretty heavy there. My iMining idea, good old Robert Eady. I want to be long where Robert's long. I don't want to pay these high prices, so I'm still working my bid down here. And if I can get this, I'll be more than happy with this. Low share count. I know who the guy running the stock is, so I feel fairly comfortable being in here, and I'm long from where he is. The problem with DPW is that it has like 90 some odd million shares out as it is. So even at like 40, 50 cents a share, that's a $40 million company. They have the rights to an electric hydro dam in Quebec, but does that necessarily translate into actual book value per share? I don't know what the book value per share is. In fact, it might even be just sort of a fun exercise. The one thing that really worries me about stocks is technically they don't have any intrinsic value. The only intrinsic value that they have really is their ability to earn money. And so you have to be extremely careful when it comes to stocks and the number of shares out and where the insiders are long and all that kind of stuff. And are they actually earning money? Yeah, this gets a little bothersome here. So when I look at this, I see they're losing 78 cents a share. Oh, they get 75 million. So that's not so bad. For some reason, I thought it was 90. So still a pretty high number, right? But what's the book value per share? Oh, actually, that's kind of good. So they're actually trading at a discount to book. So that's good. Because they're bleeding so much money here, if they actually have to pay employees, do they have the cash on the books to pay them? 2 cents a share in cash means they've got about $1.5 million on the books. So, to me, what that probably means is they're going to have to do a financing down the road. So be careful of that. And it also looks to me like they are carrying some debt. So that means that they actually have to have cash available to service that debt as well. So for me, in a name like this, I don't need to be a hero. I think I'm more than happy just to simply hop off on the sidelines. And as soon as another W comes in, I'll be more than happy to get back in. But for the time being, I'm just going to hop off on the sidelines. Uranium names, they're looking a little bit heavy. Actually this coming Saturday, I think we're doing moving averages. So in 3 Saturdays, the level 2ers will be doing gaps and gap theory, and really great example of gap theory here on this uranium stock, Denison. It looks to me like this thing's probably due for a bit of a pause here. I'm more than happy to let my money just work in this asset. I'm no hurry here whatsoever. And if anything, if we do get some weakness in the space, I've got bids working on James's uranium stock U308, which is a VCIM name, and I've got bids working on Athabasca Minerals, another VCIM name, down at the bottom of the range. So, if the market wants to keep going up, great, I'm long a bit. We'll make more money. If the market wants to come down, I actually want to be a buyer of more of these names. So be aware of that. I'm kind of thinking maybe gold's hit a bit of a short-term apex. Also, too, let's keep an eye on how this U.S. dollar acts through the coming week or so. I mean, maybe there's further upside to go here, but this does kind of look very megaphony to me. And 1, 2, if we get one more test of the top of the megaphone, that's usually when we get the setup for the dump against the bottom of the megaphone. And guys like Greg Pop would be hunting a short up here. And really, that wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't. Gold's, supposed to have a relatively nice window here coming out of the summer, but once that window closes, then we go into a seasonal period, I think near the end of the year, where gold's a bit soft, but we could probably look more into that later on. And ebb and flow, right? We've done a big ebb. Could we have a bit of a flow here? Sure. That wouldn't be too shocking. Would I be going and buying this asset here? No, definitely not. I've got like one call on for the spring. It's free, so I'm just going to let it work. I am going to be keeping a real close eye on our buddy Alio, right? Here is that original double bottom we talked about. We had originally anticipated that these lows were going to hold. And you can see they just took them out and then when put in this little double bottom and rallied it off the lows. My hunch is, either one or two scenarios develops here. Either we go and, if that Barrick trade is done and this becomes a top, we're probably going to put in some sort of M here and then tank. So let's keep an eye out for that scenario. But actually what I'd love to see is this thing just come down, put in a nice little W, and give me a nice little entry off of these original lows. So that's what I'm going to be watching out of there from out of all the sort of junior gold stocks for the next month or so. And not a bad idea. Like somebody on Twitter was like, forget the FANG stocks. You got to buy the BANG stocks. That's like Barrick and Agnico Eagle and Newmont Mining and Goldcorp. There's a lot of people who are actually warming to the idea of investing in gold again. So we'll keep an eye on this. Let's see how this plays out. There's no hurry here. And also, too, if I'm not mistaken, this guy's got a bit of stock out, so I really want to see some really solid anecdotal evidence of a bottom here. All right, so enough of stock market. Let's head on over to crypto. As I had said earlier, it's kind of encouraging to see Bitcoin itself caught a bit of a bid. Basically, when the stock market started to show signs of failure and toppy, Bitcoin actually turned and put in a bottom exactly where it was supposed to turn and put in a bottom off of these lower time frame charts. And if anything, this is an excellent anecdote that while we were sitting in this, interestingly enough, the public sentiment and even how I was feeling, I was journaling how I was feeling. I was feeling pretty depressed through this. And I was just like, really, oh, fuck, here we go again. AB equals CD. We're going to new lows. Oh, crap. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. I mean, I'm not going to bullshit you guys. And, those human emotions are actually extremely telling. So, I was tickled pink. And you guys probably remember, I think it was like Wednesday or Thursday. We put in this railroad tracks bottom in that 2-candle pattern. If anything, guys, Josh, I know you're like super, I want to learn how to do this shit and I want to get really good at this. I see you here every single day trying to learn. Now you're in Portugal. So I apologize. I thought you were, yeah, I've seen those videos you do, man, out in front of the beach on the patio with the palm trees blowing in the background. Anyway, my advice to you is print this shit off, man. There's the secret sauce right there. Higher time frame reload zone dips into a lower time frame reload zone. So we got like a reload zone within a reload zone. And then the son of a bitch goes in and puts in this beautiful railroad tracks bottom. I mean, jeez. Doesn't get any, I mean, that's the shit. And like I said, the interesting thing is as the market was going down here, the sentiment was extremely bearish and it was extremely negative. Everybody, Andrew, whoop, did we lose Andrew? I know he really wants to try and learn this shit. And Andrew's got a couple of buddies of his that are just total gunslingers. Oh my goodness, drives you crazy listening to them. But, gunslingers, I don't care, anybody. I mean, that's worth the price of admission right there. I will just circle this. I mean, try and learn that. That is just the shit. Reload zone within reload zone and a big fat railroad tracks. Merry Christmas. Doesn't get any easier than that, my friends. I remember when we watched this play out, and I was like, "Ooh, look at maybe we'll get a double bottom here," and that big pop, which confirmed this double bottom, making you feel pretty good, not bad. I suppose for those people that play clotheslines, though, this double bottom is a bit problematic because if we change this to a clothesline, can you see how this low is actually lower than that low? So a little bit of a sloppy double bottom here. I wouldn't say this is the most prettiest textbook double bottom. And as we said, like Thomas, he absolutely loves his clotheslines double bottoms. And I think that's excellent stuff, right? Not here to reinvent the wheel. I'm just here to do what works and less of what doesn't. And his clothesline double bottoms concept seems to work very powerfully. But I don't even mind, and especially for the level oneers, they were just doing this today, introducing themselves to simple market structure. But and I even posted this in the classroom with Grim this morning. I mean, really, I don't mind if somebody said, "Well, we went down, then we went up, then we went down against those lows, then we turned up, and gee whiz, there's a W." I don't really mind that. It's perfectly valid. And then also the fact that this is a reload zone within reload zone. I think hopefully what the new traders, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to step in and take that trade. High anxiety. It's a little easier when the W comes in because then you go, okay, well, I'm just going to buy the W breakout and I'm going to risk against here. I can see the trade very clearly. And if anything, this is almost like the conversation we had with Jacob versus Zach. Jacob, day trader, hunting kill zones, he has to be laser beam focused through this event, which is not high anxiety. It's not easy. A guy like Zach is like, well, you know what? I'm going to take a little higher time frame, go a little bit slower, and he's going to be taking this W, risking against these lows, and he's got quite a bit of wiggle room here. So, maybe think about it. That's not a bad analogy to think about. So as the stock market was sort of waffly, right? We had the first initial sort of day that, oh boy, the stock market's not happy. But then the stock market kind of got happier. And so we got this funny little back and forth expanding wedge pattern in Bitcoin itself. And, for those, that are sort of less, how do we say this? For those people that just like to trade with the tide and with the wind and, as long as the market's moving in their direction, I'm going to stay with the trade and just, keep it really simple. I really didn't have a problem on this sort of failure, especially all this chop back and forth. I don't know what the fuck the trend is. It's higher highs and lower lows. Megaphone, this could get dangerous. I really don't have a problem if people are like, you know what, I'm just going to hop off. Just let the dust settle. And on that sort of event, I even, on these fails here, I even sort of said, and I sort of tweeted it out that really, it looks to me like there's the W, there's the M. And so as a result, we basically have a defined top of the range, defined bottom of the range. We got ourselves a trading range. I was a little surprised that, through Friday's stock market action, the stock market's still not happy. Bitcoin sort of stopped at making these lower lows and actually started Wing here. And I was a bit surprised heading into the weekend, sort of late Friday afternoon, they popped the top. But what was fascinating about this is they popped the top, and then I watched literally somebody jumped in and slammed the market right back down. Somebody, I could literally see somebody was like, no, 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 slow this fucking thing down. I don't know what's going on. You know, maybe it's the whole Goldman Sachs and Circle and the institutions don't want this thing to move when it's not supposed to move. But I literally watched somebody just whack this thing right back down as soon as this pop happened. It was almost like the natural course for this thing wanted to be up, and then they let it pop, and then all of a sudden, like I said, somebody just sat on it. And literally for pretty much the entire course of the weekend, this sort of failure off of the top here has been dominating price action. And of course, we were all watching UFC fights and not really paying attention to the market too closely. I still sort of felt like, well, we're in a trading range, and you can see trend lines, so maybe we'll find support somewhere down here. But I woke up this morning and I see, well, gee whiz, off of this original double bottom level, somebody's trying to defend that level. And gee whiz, they went and put a little double bottom off of that original double bottom level. So I think, and this is sort of my hunch, is that somebody has taken a position off this W. I think that they're using it as sort of an anti-stock market proxy, and they didn't want this thing to take off while the stock market was closed. Now that we're getting closer, and it's now 20 to 12 here on Sunday, so, like Chinese and Japanese and Australian, I don't know whether there's a holiday in Asia or not, but those guys are probably all starting to get ready for their new business day that starts in about 5-6 hours. And if they're not feeling very happy, and we see stocks come off here, and you often see stocks act really wonky through these holiday, sort of semi-holiday sessions. I don't know whether it's a bank holiday in the States or not tomorrow. It might be. And if that's the case, banks being closed, we might see some really wonky action in things like the S&P 500. And seeing the market catch a bit of a bid here as we're sort of working our way through Sunday, that actually doesn't surprise me. And I even suggested for the level oneers in Grimm's class today, I said, look, your job right now is just to simply see these M's and W's. I know guys are like, okay, well, what I get is a divergence, and then I want to, hunt head and shoulders, and I want to, a whole bunch of stuff. And I just was even like, guys, just try and concentrate on seeing if you can see the W's. That's all you need to do right now, level oneers, is just see this W. Throw on your trade metric. If I'm going to buy the W, I'm going to risk against the bottom of the W, and I have to force myself to wait for a 2-to-1 profit objective. And really, for you level oneers, I don't even give a shit whether this trade idea works or not. What your job to do right now is just watch how this plays out and practice. Like in the classroom this morning, Grimm's, and I love how Grimm's like, you got to take 100 trades before I even want to talk to you. I love that. That's awesome. But the point right now is you guys just practice. You don't need to risk any real money in the market. You just need to be able to see these W's, be able to understand where you enter the trade, where you're going to risk against, and by definition, what we want you to be thinking of as a profit objective. Simple as that. So all you level oneers, I sure hope in your diaries, I even posted this in the lounge for you if you want to follow along this, and even put in the note on your spreadsheet, this is Brian's crazy idea. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. I think I want my money back, son of a bitch. I don't care if you want to put that as your log entry for that trade, so be it. But I want you to see what happens here. And then, of course, if this thing does go zipping up and it tags the 2-to-1, I want you to log, gee whiz, it looks like the W worked. If this thing craps out and breaks down through the bottom, well, I was told to get out here, and so the trade didn't work, and so we closed it. That's your only job right now. So, really good sort of, working real-time example for you. I think we also said, and I like, this basic premise, that to make it easier on you guys, you should be hunting these M's and W's off of higher time frame charts, right? And ideally, I'd love for you to work off of weekly price charts. And in the class example today, and I just simply threw it together because I just wanted you guys to have a working example. I mean, technically you could be using this as an example in your log. I don't really care. Just go and find those M's and W's. And I think for the class, I even just simply went and grabbed a blue chip stock and just said IBM. I don't know. Has there been an M or W here on the weekly charts that maybe I can learn this market structure stuff off of? And I just, grab this. I mean, ideally, us as traders, we want to hunt volatility, right? That's the big thing. Is if we don't have volatility, then we can't make money from price swings. So, in this case, we have a huge move. And then hopefully what you see is, and this is what I did for the class, right? There's the big M, big fail. And I'm just going to simply take my trade metric tool. And I'm going to say, all right, Brian says M's are ugly, so I'm going to short the fail of that M, and I'm going to take profits at my 2-to-1 objective. It doesn't quite make a 2-to-1 profit objective here. So in this particular case, I really don't have a problem because you're practicing. If you just say, okay, well, Brian says I got to hunt these 2-to-1, so I'm going to work this until I get that 2-to-1. And in this particular case, it happened to work. So on balance, I do like the idea of using the 50% rule to hunt that 2-to-1. I think that would be good sort of bent general practice. And if you wanted to, kind of like what I just showed you on the Euro trade, if you're going to use the 50% level as your profit objective, then we still have to risk against the top of the M. This might even be good practice for you. Notice, let's see, did that happen? I guess the breakdown was there. So for us to generate a 2-to-1 off of this trade and use the 50% level as a target, where are we here? So we can go a little bit lower. It's a bit tricky using this trading view tool. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a bit of a pain in the butt. But hopefully you guys see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm just going to keep playing with these levels. All right, so there's 2-to-1. So really what this means is it failed here. I could work my open order at this level or higher. For the professional trader, I think what you probably do is on this bigger, higher time frame fail, draw what it, and at this case, it would be here, right? And draw your reload zone. Right, so I can short in this window. Then the market moves down to this low. All right, I can short into this window. And you're keeping an eye on your 2-to-1s. All right, so, I mean, there's Mountain Man. I mean, what a sick fill that would have been. But in essence, as long as we're above this 2-to-1, you're originally playing this original M top up here. And you're going to risk the new highs as long as it's above this 2-to-1 level. I don't have a problem with you, saying, okay, well, I hit this level here. And I'm shooting for the 50% roll. I don't have a problem with that. So, all right. So I keep saying we're putting stock market away. I apologize. I keep going back there. Sorry, guys. So crypto. What do I see sort of happening right now? If anything, I'm a little, it's obviously going to be predicated on how we see how the stock market's open. If the stock market's open up really negatively, we might see this thing catch a wicked bid. It almost looks to me right now, and this is just pure opinion, right? Nothing more, nothing less. It almost looks to me like we have like a fractal here trying to form. So let's keep an eye on how Bitcoin acts against these original candle body highs and against that peak there. What is that? 66, call it 6,700 here on Phoenix. If we get sort of signs of failure up here, inside bar reversal, empire, maybe even a little head and shoulders, a little M or something, then I think we have to fully expect a retest of this 6,500. And if the neckline does ultimately fail here, then I think, dumps against these original lows are probably in order. As I had sort of said earlier, we haven't really got any sort of definitive signal on the weekly charts. I think we're still sort of very range boundy It's interesting how we had this inside bar reversal level. That's basically where the market's sitting right now. We had this inside bar reversal level, which has not fired. So at present, I think we have this funny looking inside bar. Keep in mind that this tail went to new lows here. So it's not really a clean inside bar. If anything, the interesting thing about this, because this bar did make a new low, is really, I think you could make the argument that this is a diamond pattern. Very ugly looking diamond, but nonetheless, there it is. Like so. So, really, the resolution of this candle's range is, I think, our tell here going forward. Hopefully you can see if we lose this low of the range there, that low right there, 63.97 here on GDAX, then that will confirm an inside bar fail and down we go. And it was interesting earlier in the week how they brought the market back down against that level. And as we had said earlier, they had actually, right, there's the 63, 6400, 63.97. There's that sort of weekly low that we talked about. There is this most recent low. And they brought the market down, like I said, railroad tracks there and reversed it. So clearly, if we lose this level, that's going to be a monster sell signal. And if you want to sort of, make note of this, if you see levels that have railroad tracks working and the market loses that, this now becomes an incredibly powerful reversal pivot level. Does that make sense? Usually, somebody will take a shot off of that level, and let's just say hypothetically, market comes back down into that level, and the people that put the bottom in here go, think institutional fingerprint, right? We could argue that this bar plus this bar is the institutional fingerprint. So all through here, there's, getting the public to be net sellers, but the institutions are buyers. They put the bottom in. Now, if the overriding market fundamentals, I don't know, Binance announces that they're going under. Didn't somebody say that Stamp was under attack this weekend? And that actually surprised me because of all places, Stamp is the last place in the world I would expect to see trouble. Nobody? Does anybody remember Stamp? I think I heard someone say Stamp was under attack. Yeah, someone posted an article. Yeah, okay. So maybe it's Stamp. That's the problem du jour. If we break through this level, what should end up happening is if we, first and foremost, hopefully everybody can see that, well, gee whiz, there's a reload zone of that range now. So if we do dip into this area, I think these guys are going to put up a fight, no doubt about it, right? If we dip into here. If we lose this level, then what usually happens is what was support ends up becoming resistance, right? So something like that. So, and we talk about institutions can't sell down markets. And of course, Mr. Bear, Thomas, he loves to talk about how if he's going to short a fail, like let's say this M comes in, he's going to be hunting off of the candle body. I think he likes to call it the neckline level for his trade. So you can see the market goes careening through this level. There's the candle body lows. And it's the counter trend rally into those levels. This is the area where the institutions will have all their selling ready to go, right in there. And we often see Thomas do that trade. It's very normal. And he's, no doubt about it, guys, he's definitely in the ranks of professional traders. So that's sort of what I see right now. It's not really definitive. There's no clear signal off the weeklies. This is messier than hell. Maybe we put in a diamond pattern bullish breakout here. My hunch is, for whatever it's worth, stock market find some sort of base here, and we have to roll back over and come and eat this big tail. And then maybe put in a bottom like that, and away we go. But that's just my opinion, right? Opinions are, dime a dozen. If you're going to be trading, absolutely without a shadow of doubt, we have to be hunting setups. Simple as that. And right now, I just don't have a hell of a lot working here on Bitcoin. It's a bit sloppy. Sloppy poppy. And if anything, I think there was a really kick-ass long trade idea down here at about 6,400 and change. Sitting at 65, 6,600. I think we're actually kind of in like no man's land right at the moment. All right, so that's sort of your Bitcoin summary. Not a heck of a lot to help you guys. I apologize. A couple ideas that I've been sort of chewing on the long side. I do like, if Bitcoin is bottoming, if crypto is bottoming, I do like taking a shot on this this Verge, because Brian loves his porn. Anyway, that's here another. I'm just being silly. But I don't mind taking a shot off of this, so I've started to build a position here on Verge. If we break these lows, I'll just simply cover the position, walk away. Been keeping a real close eye on Sjord's favorite coin, this OMG, and hopefully you can see if this is a bottom, right? Same sort of thing. This is like that DPW kind of thing, right? I bought some of the DPW, the stock, on the sort of tag of the reload zones, but said that if it broke the lows, I would walk. I basically did the same sort of thing here on this OMG. I bought the original double bottom and had to get stopped out and walk. You can see that it made a new low, but here we go. Maybe are we going to try and W again? And this is sort of the kind of environment that we're in, I think, where it might take a few shots at this to actually get the bottom. And this is actually often I find where a lot of new people to trading flounder. And, followers on the social media, right? They're just looking for that guy that's always right 100% of the time. Whatever he tweets out, I'm just going to buy it. I know I'm guaranteed to make money. Quite often in trading, it's sort of like, we know W's work 60, 70% of the time, but we also know too that they work a lot better if the market state off the higher time frame is friendly. And if the higher time frame state is not friendly, i.e. the higher time frame is a bear, then it might take a few of these W's to actually find the bottom. And you just don't know where they're going to come in. But if you're a professional trader, you got to just keep sharp. So long and short of it here is, this 457 trade failed and I got stopped out. But that doesn't mean I'm losing my focus. And I'll take another shot off of this 383 level. And if it works, rock on. Right, you can see the trade metric back to the 50% rule. This will produce a just about a 2-to-1 risk reward. So keeping a close eye on that one. And also I think I bought into the DCR. I hear a lot of positive talk about it. Maybe it's a piece of shit. I don't know. But I don't mind the idea of building a position here. You can see I got filled on one order. I've got another stink bid working down at this gap and in this reload zone. And then if we do get a momentum breakout through this double bottom here, I'll just simply ride the market inertia and add to it there. So I got filled on one of the orders here. You could argue, Brian, isn't that like a fractal right there? Isn't that a sell signal? I don't like the idea of selling assets when they're down here. I might say that, if you're trading a trading range, say like a 4-hour chart or something, Yeah, there might be a trade to short against these highs, looking to buy back in these lows, but I'm trying to build a position off the higher time frames. So if anything, yeah, I do see that fractal. And actually, I'm rooting for prices to come down so I can get filled on this order down here. Probably good idea to mention, like CFI off the board. They did their coin burn. I'm not even quite sure how Trex is going to handle the situation now if you haven't moved those coins. I moved them over to a Jax wallet, and everybody on the site shit on my pants. Shit on my pants? I don't know. When they saw that I had this Jax wallet, and this is what I did. I'm not keeping much money here. I moved up over enough ETH to make sure that I could do the coin burn because it cost ETH to actually move the damn thing. This CFI, I've already burned the coins. They're gone. And the only reason I have this Jax wallet and the only reason why I have this is to collect these coins. It was about $400 or $500 worth. I don't use this. I don't necessarily endorse this. And I know a lot of people are still pissed off. Well, not pissed off, concerned for me, if you will, that I am using this. I'm not endorsing this wallet. I just needed to find a wallet so I could move the coins off of Trex and get the ball rolling with that burn. And it's just as simple as that, guys. I know Shane, when he saw this, he was like, oh my God, what are you, crazy using that? I don't have much money on here. And as the ETH coins come in, I'm just going to simply move them back over to Trex. It's just as simple as that, guys. If I understand correctly, they're going to be doing the burn like in increments over the next month or two. So it's not like they're all going to come in one shot. It's supposed to be sort of like a slow drip. Wonderful. But I'm not using that Jax wallet for much other than that. If anything, through this period, please understand, guys, you have to expect there are going to be names that are going to be delisted from the major exchanges. It happens every single cycle. Try and find out if you have to put your coins on your own computer in a cold storage wallet. That's not a bad idea. But you just have to simply accept the fact that if you're going to play this shitcoin space, that these delistings are a very real part of our world. It's just how it goes. I don't know from coin to coin to coin which ones are going to be delisted. I just don't know. And if anything, this was the whole point of the level 1, building your trading plan, rational analysis. If you are going to play the shitcoin market, build a fundamental screener. And I know a lot of the guys when we talked screeners in the past, they made it a requirement that if they were going to buy into a coin, that it had to be listed on 2 or 3 exchanges. Get used to that, guys. Here, this is pretty much par for the course. And I think that's about all I can say on that. Right? Is you have to build it as part of your plan, and be prepared that if one of these exchanges shits on your coin, that number one, you might see the coin price fall over the short term. And then number 2, make sure to have outs, right? Where can you move these coins? And some of them, I won't sugarcoat it. Like there was one club coin where there were no outs, and I had to download the cold storage wallet onto my own computer, and I've got the coin sitting there. It does happen. And there are some coins, I think probably about 10% of our list that we bought over the years have basically gone right off the board. It does happen, guys. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's part of this space. As you see on the screen right here happens to be an altcoin that's moving a little bit. And, through this environment, this will happen too. I think Josh was even saying there a moment ago, check out ETHZRX. He just got a double. So, the market is hopping. ZRX. There will be movers versus Ethereum. Is that over here? I don't know where you're trading this. Woo, look at that. Nice chart. All right, my friend. Looks like a bull market. So, this is relative to Ethereum. I don't know what you're using as your base proxy. There are up markets. So, not everything's going to be shit and poop. And in fact, what I absolutely love about our community is almost on a daily basis, I turn the computer on and people are like, hey, I got a double here. Hey, I got a double there. We went through sort of a period there in the late winter, early spring where everything came off. I might argue actually that a lot of the risk has actually been taken out of the market. Obviously the delisting is probably, if anything, I would argue that's probably sort of your final capitulation event, or is the delistings. So I would actually argue, and if somebody wants to build a screen of this, isn't such a bad idea, but see if we can correlate the sort of the ramp up of delistings and the actual ultimate bottom in these markets. I have a funny feeling there's a very high correlation with that. Here's one that I think will do very well. And I noticed one of the OGs that I used to like to hang out with here in Vancouver, Jesse, the coach, right? He's talking about, hey, I'm going to start picking up some of this. What do you think, guys? When you look at a chart like this, what comes to mind? Opportunity is nowhere, which, really, that could be. Or is opportunity now here? I know a lot of people that are sort of OGs and smarties in this space. Everybody in the public hates this stuff. They're slowly going in and they're accumulating right now. Yeah, Zach, actually, that's a really good dovetail, dude. So Zach actually put together a list. And, like I said earlier, I think Zach's going to be an excellent role model for you guys going forward. Can't wait to have him sort of part of the TRI community in earnest here. But Zach went and put together a list of coins that are basically coming back against the low ends of their ranges, and has, potential. I noticed, I think AUR, didn't they get turfed off of Trex? I think they got whacked here. But, a lot of these, I would do your due diligence, right? Maybe you're going to have one or two of them that you buy that just aren't going to perform over the short term. But my hunch is, within this list, there is a 5-bagger or a 10-bagger just sitting there waiting to go. Don't know when it's going to happen. Don't know which one. But as I sort of showed you a moment ago, and Zach, if you feel like sharing that list, the AUR, we can move over to Topia, so that's perfectly fine. But Zach, if you feel like sharing that list, it's just a nice little short list of ideas that he put together. Reach out to Zach. Right? Man, it's a great stuff, Zach. I mean, seriously. And the good part about it, guys, is get your shit together now. Right? Put all this stuff together. Get your plan ready. Start getting in there and accumulating. Nobody's interested in this shit, but hopefully all of you should be able, like, 10-bagger. A 10-bagger on this thing is only a move back to there. 10-bagger. Just to a move back to there. Oh, no. I got to fill up my coffee. Hold on. I hate when I talk so much and I run out of coffee. This is the intermission. So somebody play some intermission music. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Everybody's like, I actually paid money for this? What the fuck, man? Hold on, I'm almost there. Give me another 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2. Oh, now I gotta count. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5. Hey. Coffee is coffeeing. Now back to the charts. Goldie and Ulterior Motive. All right. Lab London. Thank you, whoever did that. All right, so there you go. Zach has already shared his document. Excellent work, guys. And I love that 1 + 1 = 3 about this place. I love how we all sort of work together to make this a better world. All right. So we talked a little Bitcoin. We talked a couple altcoin ideas. I'm not, like I'm sort of going really slowly right now. I'm still just, very in skeptical kind of mode. And the interesting thing is, guys like Da Vinci will be like, well, when does Brian ever get super bullish? Well, I'll get super bullish when I see that the odds of us making money on the long side are just. Has anybody ever heard me use the expression? There was a guy that I used to work with, and it's an old stock market saying that all I want to do is I just want to sit and be patient and wait. And I just look over in the corner. And if I happen to look over in the corner and I see a big pile of money just sitting there, I just literally want to just walk over and pick it up. That's sort of the pound the table kind of conversation. This one, it's funny. ZCL, made lots of money for people last year. Then they brought it right back down to the bottom. Rage quit, whatever. I don't know. What do you think, guys? Do you sort of see the next bull starting to try and form here? There's a lot of them. Look at that one. Descent. Look at that beautiful chart. Can you see how they've basically taken the risk out of the market? The risk is gone. All the people that bought here, if anything, guys, you just all got such a beautiful lesson in the way that bull markets unwind. Really, really good lesson. And, hopefully all of you guys can see now how difficult it is, like when we saw this kind of movement coming up here. And, of course, this is when everybody is, and the public is interested in this. And what do you tell these people? Hunt reload zones. And even in this particular case, maybe, and this is why I kind of like that reload zone concept. Because let's say you had bought this and you'd done a few buys. And, maybe you bought this W in here, Nanny Nibbles. I love 78.6s. Even right now, I really wouldn't have that big of a problem with this trade. You're going to have to sit on it for a while. So if anything, this is a good example of why I do the Nanny Nibbles and sort of how you should approach it. Ironically enough, I still fully expect the market to test this high at some point down the road. So if you just forced yourself, look at it, I'm going to force myself to buy at or below the reload zone. Then when even just on this total meltdown, we've gone to new lows. The market's totally crapped out. 50% bounce of that range still makes you money. Right? And the irony of it all is that you can see, even off of this original 78.6 here, you're still just about going to double your money. Now, like Nanny Nibbles, this is why I love the idea of throwing like 1, 2, maybe 3% of your portfolio. But give yourself the opportunity to add, because now if you can go and just add another 1% or something to your portfolio down here, well, now you've got one purchase price here, another purchase price here. Try and keep this trade, the actual dollars that you spent equal. Now your actual average cost is there. And now I move back to a 50% rule. Now you're actually starting to talk about some serious percentage moves. So a really good example of why we use reload zones. And even in the face of a total meltdown, you're not totally destroyed here being long from this level. It's much better than being long from way up here. And really, wicks and tails like to be eaten. If I was long anywhere in here, I would just simply say, well, good old Brian says wicks and tails like to be eaten. I'm going to use these wicks as my objective. And notice gee whiz, 50% levels there. It might take as long as this to get back up there. Perfectly fine, perfectly normal. But, new people coming to this space, oh my goodness. And this is the cool part about, you know, I think I remember I asked people, some people that came to like Bitcoin through the top, and I was just like, for some of them, I was kind of like, well, you know what, come back in a year or so, and let's see what it looks like then. And if we get down into reload zones a year from now, well, then you can rock and roll, right? And you can start to get to work. You know, really good lesson for all of you long-termers. Now, and the great part about it, right, is if you've been working with me for the past 6-8 months through this entire meltdown here, I've probably made an indelible impact on you for the rest of your life. As I had said, you know, if you are relatively new to the space now, most of the people, like if you were brand new and you were like, what's crypto? I never heard of crypto. And you came on and on Twitter and stuff, everybody would tell you that, oh, no way, man, it's a total scam. And, you know, the bull market's over, blah, blah, blah. I would actually make the argument that you are given an absolute gift if you can come to the market now and start. Because like I said, all of the fluff has been taken out of this market. So. Okay, I've been sort of blabbing away here for a good hour or so. I don't know. You guys, did anybody get any value out of what I've been talking about today? Jonas, how's IKEA doing? Talk about value. This would be you know, an IKEA couch that normally goes for $500-600. This would be like IKEA. You could go and buy it on special for like $50, $100. But the funny thing is if IKEA did that, people would go to this store and they would be like, well, why is it only $50? I don't want to buy that. There must be something wrong with it, right? Isn't that how it always works? Anyway, Mr. IKEA, you want to take us out?
It was great today, okay?
There you go. Thank you, sir. And hello, ma'am. I see you in the background. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
She doesn't realize she's on camera.
No, she does not.
Anyway. All right, guys. I think I'm going to hop. Get out there and get hunting. In my opinion, this is the kind of market where if you put 20 or 30 of these names on the books, I would find it very difficult if we came back 6 months from now that you actually were losing money. I would be very surprised. I actually think that there's quite a bit of money to be made here. And just as sort of people were posting in the lounge, you never know which one's going to pop when. I mean, try and find the fundamental drivers. That's basically what forces this stuff to move. You know, Josh's ZRX, I think, is an excellent example where, you know, the old adage is there's always a bull market somewhere. Let's see what it looks like versus BTC. Ooh, look at that. Oh, look at that beautiful W. Oh, my God. Almost makes you sick when you see that stuff. Oh, look at that. That's almost perfect. So, Mr. IKEA, can you see how this one went on sale?
Yeah, but I sold mine there for a loss first.
Oh, you knucklehead. Anyway, I mean, like, and what do you think the odds are there was divergence that was developing through this? I bet it's pretty good. Oh, my goodness, look at that, Joshua. Can you see that, Josh? And Willie was even stupid, too. Oh, my goodness. Look at this. So, Jonas, I want you to take a picture of this. And I want you to say, I only buy stuff that looks like this.
No, I usually do, but this one I got stopped out on, so I need to reload down here.
Okay. Well, there was a cute little W that formed there.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see that if you had traded this, you had to respect the risk and hop off.
Yeah.
But just as I said earlier, remember that OMG? This is exactly the same sort of thing where, you know, maybe the first W doesn't work, but the next one does, and then this thing fucking takes off, and you're like, God damn it, son of a bitch. You know, I've seen that happen so many times. It's not even funny. So. Okay, guys, and you know, if anything, why don't we leave the conversation at that today? Really good example. Congratulations, Josh. I think you said you're in on this thing. So congratulations on the trade. And if anything, watch for more setups coming in along here, because this thing looks like it's just getting ready to getting going. So actually, this looks like we might be heading into a fun market here, guys. So get ready. Have some fun. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it at that for today. Hey, Chaba. Nice to see you, buddy. We're old Chaba. I always think about Chaba. Anyway, have yourselves a great day, everybody. All the best. I'm going to go hang out with Liam now and go play in the rain. Happy Thanksgiving weekend. I suppose we'll see everybody maybe tomorrow for the regular show, the Daily Brief. I don't know whether Thomas is going to be in or not, but if so, we will see everybody tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody. All the best, and bye for now.
Thank you.